Hi, it's Chester at Blue Pecan Computer Training, and in this video we're going to look at how to create an amortization schedule or repayment schedule. I have done another video that covers the same thing for Excel 365 users. I'll leave a link to that in the description of this video. This video is useful for you if you don't have Excel 365. I've also done a separate video on how to do these EMI calculations, which basically calculate the monthly repayments on a loan. If you don't know how to do these calculations, please look at that video before you watch this one, and I'll also leave a link to that video in the description of this video. So this is how it's basically going to work. If I put in a loan amount, say 5,000, and I say I'm going to borrow that over 1 year, you can see that it calculates a repayment schedule for me, laying out the open balance at the beginning of each month, the EMI, which is the same for each month, the interest paid each month, the principal paid, and the closing balance. If I increase the tenure or the term, it increases the number of rows that are displayed in the table and only applies the border and background fill to the cells that are being used. Okay, let's see how this can be done. So I've already got my EMI calculations in place and I've got my column headings. The first row will be for month 0, which is the opening of the loan, and the closing balance is equal to the value of the loan. Now in the month column, I need a month number for each month of the term of the loan. So in this instance, I need 480 rows. It's always worth putting in the maximum term that you think you're going to need to use, because it just makes it so much easier when you're creating this table. What I'm going to do to create these month numbers is first of all use the row function. And the row function returns the row number of the cell reference that you supply. I want this formula to return 1, so I'm going to click in cell A1, press enter. Now if I copied this down just a few cells, you can see it now increments that number. Just undo that. So essentially I want month numbers 1 through to 480, but if I change this to 1 year, I'd only want month numbers 1 through to 12. So I can write a little if statement here. Basically says if this row number is less than or equal to the month figure I have up here, which I need to fix, then return that row number. Otherwise, give me an empty text string. Close the bracket, press enter. Now I've got to copy it down 480 cells now. The easiest way to do that is to copy that formula, go up here, and we already have the cell reference of the cell that I'm in, but I'm going to create a range reference now. So I'm going to say colon B495, which is the last cell I want to copy it to. Now if I press enter, it will select all those cells, and then I can use Control V on my keyboard to paste that formula into all of those cells. Now if I press escape to get rid of the marching ants, just scroll down here, you'll see I have numbers down to 480, and if I click in the cell below, there's no formula. So scroll back up to the top. Now opening balance, start in this row here for month 1. That will be the closing balance from the previous month, but I only want to show an opening balance if there is a number in the month column. So I'm going to write an if statement that says, is this cell not empty? If true, then I want to pick up this value in the row above. Otherwise, return an empty text string. Now I'm going to apply some currency format, and then I can double click on this fill handle to copy down, and it'll copy down as far as there are adjacent values here. Now EMI is the same. We only want to display an EMI, a monthly repayment value, if there is a number in the month column. So is B16 not empty? If true, pick up this equated monthly installment value, which I need to fix with F4. Otherwise, return an empty text string. Apply some currency format. Double click to fill down. Now, interest paid will be, once again, only shown if there is a value in the month column. And the calculation I want to perform is the opening balance times the monthly interest rate, which I'm going to fix. Otherwise, return an empty text string, close the bracket, press enter, apply some currency format, double click to fill down. Now, principal paid, again, I only want to show if there's a number in the month column. And the calculation here is basically the EMI minus the interest paid. Otherwise, returning an empty text string, press enter, apply some currency format, double click to fill down. And then the closing balance, again, only showing if there is a number in the month column. And that is the opening balance minus the principal paid. Otherwise, an empty text string, close the bracket, press enter, apply some currency format, double click to fill down. And what it's always worth doing is just scrolling down to the bottom. If I use Control down arrow key, I can see that the final closing balance is 0, which means my calculations are probably correct. Okay, now the only other thing to do is to apply the formatting that we can see on a previous sheet. So I've got a kind of grey fill and we've got borders around these cells. Now we can do that via conditional formatting. So I'm going to start by selecting the first row under the column headings, Control Shift down arrow key, Control backspace to go back to the active cell. Then I go to conditional formatting, new rule, use a formula to determine which cells to format. And what I want to say is, if column B is not empty, then apply the format. Now the way to do that is write a formula for the active cell. So is B15 not equal to an empty text string? Now we need to think about our dollars here. At the moment, as this rule gets copied down these rows within our table, it will currently only look at B15. Well, I want it to look in the other rows, but always in column B. So what I'm going to do is take the dollar out between the B and the 15. So only the column part of this cell reference is locked. So if this is true, I want the border to be outline and the fill to be this light grey. If I click on OK, you can see now that it's applied that formatting. And then probably what I'd do is just go to View and take off the grid lines. I think it looks a bit smarter if you do. So let's test if this works. If I change this to 1 year, then it only applies that format and only does the calculations for 12 months. So you can download this template with a link in the description of this video. Hopefully that's been useful. If it has, please subscribe and I'll see you next video.